I'm your host, Tarun Verma.
And I'm Janu Chavla.
On the Couch is a podcast where we talk about life, love, and everything in between. Now, what we're going to talk about today is an article that we read over on sheknows.com that's called The 7 Deadly Sins of Dating.
Ooh.
Is this something we should technically do during Halloween time? This is scary shit right here.
It is. I'm a little scared what these 7 deadly sins are.
Sins and dating go hand in hand. We all know that. There's a lot of faux pas, a lot of wrong shit you can do while you're dating. You have to be prim and proper for the most part. So if you're a game, you want to get right into this thing?
Let's do this.
All right. First, thou shall not. Thou shall not rush into sex.
Whoa!
And we all know this, right? So if a girl has sex with a man, before they really get to know each other, the guy obviously categorizes her as a hoe bag or puts her in the fling category, if you want to use a euphemism here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so, take your time. I think that's the big thing here, is take your time to get to know someone, get comfortable with each other mentally, physically, and emotionally before you start having sex. Because when you start having sex in a new relationship, that's all it is for a while. You're just having sex. You're having fun under the covers. And that's all you do for a while.
Mm-hmm.
All the other stuff gets put on hold because the sexy time is good time. It's sexy time. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is kind of common sense by now for most people, but I think what I'm interested in knowing is, do you just not rush into the act itself? What about talking about it? What about that chemistry? Do you prance around it? Is there the chase? Can you talk about it before actually doing the deed, you know?
I think back in the day of old Freddie Prinze Jr. movies, they didn't talk about it. Sex was one of those things that you plateaued into, you know? It just, the sexual tension built up until literally he whipped it out and the girl was like, I'm gonna whip mine out.
Uh-oh.
And everyone just did it. But I think in today's day and age, I think you actually do talk about it. At least I know that I have in all my previous relationships. We've talked about sex before we had sex. I never once went on a date and was surprised by sex. Like, oh, I'm getting some tonight? I was always like, okay, I'm prepared. So tonight, I'm pretty sure we're going to have sex because we've talked about it. We're leading up to it. We're going to get comfortable with it. I think that's just progression.
Yeah, it is progression, but you just be surprised at how, people hold back and even just talking about it. I mean, I think people take the whole don't rush into the act so seriously that we have to talk, we have to just avoid too many in-depth conversations about it too. You don't want to talk it out before you actually do the deed, I'm guessing.
No, you don't want to be like, so I'm going to start by pulling down my boxers then you're going to do this. I mean, that's too much, right?
Yeah, but I think you should really get to know someone's sex personality. There's no harm in talk. I feel like that leads into things like how adventurous the person is, how spontaneous they are, how passionate they are,
how freaky they are. The toe sucking,
exactly.
The whipped cream.
So, I agree, don't run into the act, but don't be shy to talk about it.
Absolutely not. And they said here that the 3-date rule is a myth. Again, I go back to these Freddie Prinze Jr. movies where they were always like, it's a 3rd date, I'm getting some, I lasted to the 3rd date. In our day and age where people are so readily accessible, the 3rd date happens in 1 week of getting to know someone sometimes.
This is
so
true.
The 3rd date has absolutely no bearing on a relationship, no bearing on whether you should have sex or not. It is definitely a myth. And that shit should just stay a myth.
I agree. Do what you gotta do.
Do what you gotta do. All right. Number 2, thou shall not open up too fast. And the gist of this is you don't want to scare a guy off with too much information or convince him that you're a high drama mama. So, women are, from my experience, and you can tell me if I'm right on this, women are crazy. They are crazy ass creatures, man. And I think a woman has to be, and a guy too, has to let the crazy out slowly. You can't just crazy vomit all over your partner and then expect them to be cool about it.
I definitely agree. Women are crazy. We have so much going on in this brain of ours. And I think if a person that you're just now getting to know, maybe you know them less than 3 months, even less than 6 months, that is way too soon to let your crazy out. He does something or says something which then spirals you into this thought process and you start thinking all this crazy shit. Well, guess what? You need to find a pillow or a friend or just a random stranger on the street to let that crazy out on, or you just let it out in bits as you get to know each other, as your friendship develops. Let him in on what goes on in your head, but definitely not too fast.
The way I see it is I think a woman needs to be very smart about this, right? It's a lot like leading the mouse to the mousetrap, right? So you got little bits of great high quality cheddar cheese that you're just leaving along the way, right? And the little mouse is eating it, and the cheese is your drama, right? So little pieces of drama that you unload over time, you guys are able to digest it, to
And it
handle
actually
it.
keeps it interesting, I bet, from the
It also
guy's
keeps
side
it
too.
interesting.
Yeah.
It also keeps it interesting. And that pinnacle point where you've hooked your man is when that mouse hits that mousetrap and they got that big ass rock of cheese that you just want to fucking jump right into. Boom! The thing snaps on its neck and it's done.
Yeah.
That's how it is. A woman's got to snap the neck of the guy. Not really, because that shit's illegal. And you'll end up in jail like that lady who cut off her husband's penis, which is fucked up. But that's how you got to do it. You got to let it out crazy, slowly. And then when they're too hooked, when you've got them, that's when you can just unload the rest of that bag.
Yeah, I agree. Let it out in phases. If you have to write a journal, if you gotta MySpace it, Facebook it, tweet it, do what you gotta do, but take it easy with your man.
Okay, third one. Thou shall not call, text, email too much. I think for a woman, this is very, very important. You talked about the chase. Guys are the lions. They're the alpha dogs. They're the ones that should be chasing the woman. So I know, no matter how great the girl was, if she was always too available for me, texted me too much, hit me up too much, I did find myself losing interest a little bit because I was like, you're too available for me.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also know I've done it in reverse too, where I really liked the girl and I was just kind of all up on her nuts. And I was just like, this is.
You definitely have to keep yourself a little busy, especially after a fantastic date and you're really into someone and you had a great conversation with them. That is the time to discover your undiscovered hobbies or something you've been putting off for a while and just get back into that and just take your mind off that person because you have to. I think there is a text limit. Like, what do you think? You think it's like less than 5 texts a day? I mean, how many text messages and also what is a time frame of me following up with you? Like after a date, should I text you like the next day and say I had a great time? Or should I say it that night when I'm about to go to bed? Like, hey, I had a lot of fun with you tonight. It's like all this freaking syntax and all these rules are driving me crazy about texting and calling, especially texting because it's so easy. A smiley face, a colon and a parenthesis can convey so much.
Oh, hell yes.
Yeah.
I am an emoticon freak. I love using emoticons. In fact, I use the emoticons to replace words that I want to express. I'm just like, smiley face with the heart eyes, smiley face with the winkiness. All that shit is great. Now, is there a limit? I think it really depends on a case-to-case scenario. So say you went out on a really great date, right? It was a really great night. You had dinner, you did stuff, whatever. You came back home. I don't think you should really text that night. I think you should let that just sink in. Let that really just soak into her brain, to his brain.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you still start texting each other, even after you go home, technically the date's not over.
You're right.
It's still going, and because you're not with each other, you're texting, it's not that great. So let it end and just cut that thing off and just say, hey, this is now a memory,
Let the goodbyes punctuate the date. Don't let any text messaging.
Definitely. You're right on the point with that. You're right on the point with that. Say goodnight, and that's it. And then, yes, of course, before you go to bed, send out a text just saying, hey, I had a really great day tonight. I can't wait to see you again. I think that is done. Right there, that's perfect. You don't need to do any more than that. If you're a teenager, fine, text into the wee hours of the morning after date, whatever. But for people in their 20s, definitely no excessive texting and all that. I mean, we always got so much shit going on that if we come home from a date, I mean, we've spent hours away from stuff we gotta do, that when we come home, we either want to just decompress or we need to do stuff, laundry, clean, cook for the next day, that you don't want to be on the phone on your Bluetooth for the rest of the night talking to that person, even though you spent hours with them.
Mm-hmm.
Conclude it, let it be a memory. I am such a romantic in that sense where if you've had a great memory, seal it up, lock it up, throw that shit in the treasure box, and let it be there. Don't continue it on.
I agree with that.
Cool. Next one. Now this one, there are some very, very crazy bitches that subscribe to this. And I have a no tolerance policy for this one, okay? So thou shall not, number 4, thou shall not spy on him. This is some Judge Joe Brown, Judge Judy type of shit where girls are checking your phone if you go take a piss, or you're in the bathroom taking a shower and the girl's going through your text messages. That shit is psychotic. No, no, no. If a guy, fellas, if you find a girl ever going through your emails or your text messages, you walk away from that chick right away.
Okay, wait. I have to stop you there. Fellas, you walk away from that chick because she's dumb enough to get caught, okay? I have to say, I have a confession to make. I kind of agree with this one. Or
Yeah, are you one of those chicks?
I disagree with it because I think that as women, you have to protect yourself. And I feel like more often than not, I've seen too many of my friends get taken advantage of, or, you know, there's small things that were hidden from them that are kind of a big deal. And the guy knows the truth about the girl in that department, but he hasn't fully disclosed himself. So, ladies, you know, I actually think that there should be an underground society that teaches women the art of Googling and spying on men and background checks and, you know, a little look-see in your phone. I mean, don't do it on the first date. That's kind of lame. But if you're moving along in your relationship and there are some key, you know, bits of information that you just need to verify, there's a, you know, a past relationship that ended kind of weird, that doesn't quite make sense to you, Google it. Google him, Google his name, Google his location.
What?
Look at his phone when he's not there, and don't be stupid enough to get caught, because if you do get caught, then yeah, the guy should probably leave you because you're just that dumb. But if you can be sleek and just look at the phone real quick, I mean,
are you kidding me?
I'm sorry, I have to say, and you know what, ladies, if you do find some information about your man that matches all the details he's told you, just leave it there. Leave the Googling for the first 3 months of the relationship and don't ever do it again.
So spying for the first 3 months is A-okay.
Yeah, I think it's a first 90 days. I mean, just like Steve Harvey, he has these kind of rules where, you know, you're put on a 90-day probationary period when you start a job. You could lose your job after 90 days if you violate their contracts, their rules, or regulation. I'm sorry, but if I have to find stuff out about you one way or another, if you violate the terms or agreements of our relationship by lying to me, you're out of here. 90 days. But it's key. Don't make it a habit. I mean, you don't want to be 5 years from now when you're married snooping through your husband's phone or email or whatever. Do it for the first 90 days.
Now, I do understand it if you happen to think that your boyfriend or whatever is cheating on you, or could be cheating on you, or there have been a lot of hints dropped that he might be doing it. So there I kind of understand it. But I have never once thought to myself that I need to spy on a girl's phone or her records or whatever.
Oh yeah, you definitely do.
If any girl ever makes me that paranoid, I feel like I shouldn't be with her.
But it's not paranoia. I think that if the person is still making you feel as if you need to find out more information about them,
that is true.
You're in the wrong relationship. I mean, I think it takes 3 to 6 months to really get to, you know, build a decent foundation of getting to know someone. And I think in the first 90 days, it's totally fair game to look at a text message, verify, you know, if he has a female friend that he talks about all the time, and you have a few seconds with his phone to look at text messages with that person, just to verify the nature of their relationship. I mean, like we said before, texting, communicating is just that easy, and you can flirt with women so easily. You can have these little relationships that cross the line. So why not just verify it?
Well, you heard it here from the hornet's nest. So it is A-okay. You need 90-day probation period. That's what you got, ladies. Spy away on your men.
Google that man for 90 days straight, women.
Google him straight.
Yes.
That's right. Before you start effing him straight, you start Googling him straight first, ladies. That's what you do. Now, next one. This one is a little weird one. I'm a man, so I'm inclined to think that this has never happened to me, but I bet you it probably has. But so number 5 is thou shall not fake orgasms.
Ew.
It just, in the long run, you're doing yourselves both a disservice by allowing to think that you are that he's pleasing you when he's really not. Again, I'm a man, so I sort of thrive on the concept of making women come and go, but I imagine they may have faked it once or twice, at best, at most, once or twice.
Right.
But you shouldn't be doing it. I think faking orgasms, you need to just leave that shit in the closet, or for a rainy day where you just don't want to have sex much more. 5-minute rule is more than enough.
Just don't fake anything. Why you gotta be a fake?
That's right. I think that, I mean, it's nothing bad to say that if you can't get off while you're having sex, just say it. Just say, like, babe, I am tired. I just can't do it. Let's just rest.
I mean, if the person isn't fulfilling you in any which way, don't fake happiness. Don't fake O's. Don't fake anything. Be honest. Like, seriously, that's my policy on this.
Don't fake the O face. Don't fake it. All right, moving on to the next one. Number 6. Thou shalt not expect him to change. Here are the provisions here. People do not change very much as they get older, especially men. So if there are numerous things about him that you can't stand, then it might be wiser to change to a different man. This one is so hard for people to do because they get emotionally attached and they feel the need to just accept that person's flaws. But I've always been more of an idealist where why accept the flaws when you could find someone who doesn't have them?
Oh God. Listen, people. Don't listen to Rude Verma on this one. Listen, you're never gonna find someone that's perfect.
No, you won't. You won't.
You're always gonna want to change something about someone. I think that
there are small changes and then there are big changes, right? So if there are big personality changes, you can't, those will not happen. Now you can housebreak a guy. I have constantly mentioned how guys are diamonds or dogs. Those two theories are fucking solid when it comes to this stuff, man. You know, you can house train him. You can house train your guy to put down the toilet seat, but you can't house train him be into spending more time with you or something like.
Yeah, well, this kind of reminds me, I'm going to bust out my Oprah reference. Something that Oprah always says, that I think she got from somewhere, is that trust people when they show you who they really are. If you're going through a tough time and your significant other is there with you, he or she is nursing you back to health. If you're sick, you got the flu, or you're devastated because you lost your job or whatever. If that person is there and they fulfill those fundamental things that you need from a significant other, then that's great. If those things aren't there, then that's something that you have to realize you cannot change. You cannot teach a person how to be there for you when the going gets rough. You know, you can, like you said, you can teach a guy, babe, this is how you do the dishes. This is how you flip the toilet seat. This is how you make your bed. This is how you
pay the bills, but you can't.
Don't freak out about that kind of stuff, but you know, it's alarming if that person doesn't want to learn those things for you. That person doesn't want to compromise on, you know, let me change a few of my behaviors.
That's a really good indicator. Yeah. If he's not willing to learn the small things, and it's vice versa. I mean, girls got to learn some small things as well. But the big things you can't. Change.
If a guy shows you that he is not trustworthy or that he will cheat on you, he will flirt with other women in front of you,
then that's going to be a constant.
That's who he is. Believe him when he shows you who he is and just move on to the next. But don't flip a lid, you know, if he can't do something the way you want it done, if he can't make the bed like you want it.
But that's something all women have to train, though. Yeah, I think no guy comes marriage broken unless they're already divorced. A woman's got to do it.
And no woman is perfect either, you know what I mean? So you got to just kind of take that. Don't try to change the fundamentals of a person's personality because you'll never succeed.
Absolutely. Now, final one, number 7. Thou shalt not neglect yourself. Now, I think this is very important for women. Not so much for guys, but for women because you guys are the caring ones. You guys are the nurturers. So you guys, I have had so many girlfriends that have gotten so involved in taking care of me and this and that they might avoid themselves. Pamper yourselves. Take care of yourselves, ladies. If you got to do you, always remember to do you. You know, you girls are so sensitive, so sweet, that you're always going out of your way for other people, whether it's your family, whether it's your boyfriend or your boyfriend's brother, whatever. You guys do too much, and you need to be able to take time for yourself for whatever reason.
You really do, and you have to stop feeling guilty about it. On top of that, you got to learn how to unplug. You cannot solve everyone's problems. I think women think that, he just asked me to do something for him, and if I don't complete this task right now, then he'll have a horrible day. And you know, you have to learn how to just kind of put that on the back burner and say, okay, right now it's 6 o'clock.
It's a balancing act.
I'm about to get off work. This is my me time. I'm sorry, babe. Like, see me in 2 hours and I'll help you with whatever you need.
Right.
Go to the gym, ladies. Don't feel guilty about, taking that time off to get a manicure, pedicure, massage. Do whatever it is that you like to do. And in fact, I think the men in your life, if they really are the partners that you need and people that you should keep in your life, they will love you even more for taking care of yourself, for, keeping yourself happy, whether it's keeping yourself looking good, keeping yourself enriched by, taking up a new hobby or getting into something that you're interested in. It'll just make you a better partner.
Well, it also goes back to one of the earlier points about how you shouldn't smother the other person. It goes both ways for men and women. You shouldn't smother the other person.
That's
so
true.
If you give yourself room, guys tend to chase the woman.
Yeah.
So if you make yourself emotionally unavailable or physically unavailable for a couple of hours while you're doing whatever it is you need to do, guys appreciate that. But if you're constantly going out of your way for that guy and he breaks up with you, guess what? You are even more devastated.
Distance makes the heart grow
Fonder.
fonder.
It does, and it also is a security blanket. That's my big thing with women is ladies always have a backup plan. Always protect yourselves.
Yeah,
See that
keep
shit.
your individuality alive. Realize
Definitely.
that you're not just in a relationship and you're a
Don't let
package
the guy
deal.
define you.
Yeah, don't let your relationship be a part of your life, but don't make, your life all about your relationship. Really just focus on being that individual because it's only going to make your relationship stronger as you grow and, there's more things to learn and discover as a couple together, but don't just, define yourself by that significant other.
That's true, and it all kind of goes back to that idealistic concept of a 50-50 relationship. If you feel like you are 80% of the relationship or 90%, there is something very, very wrong. There's got to be a great give and a take there.
Yeah.
And if you feel like that give and the take is so out of proportion, you need to stop the brakes and reevaluate the relationship and readjust whatever it is that you need to do.
I agree.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Man, I thought this was going to be a lot scarier in the beginning. 7 sins.
7 deadly sins. I thought we should have done this shit at Halloween, but this was A-okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to On the Couch. We will see you next time.